Aloha, welcome to Yoga with Veronica for today's 10 best yoga poses for tight hamstrings. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be focusing on stretching and releasing in just a little under 20 minutes. Begin seated in a reclined position. Make sure you have your block and a strap ready. Let's begin with a reclined hamstring stretch on your right leg. Lay down and use your strap to hold your right leg up in the air. Make sure your right foot is flexed so that you feel that nice stretch and pull along the back of your right leg. Allow the breath to soften any lingering tension. You can add some gentle movement, maybe swaying your legs side to side or back and forth, but try focus on lengthening through the heel, so pushing that heel up towards the sky, towards the ceiling. Let's switch legs, this time wrapping the strap around your left foot, extending your left heel up to the sky, enjoying this gentle controlled stretch for one of the hamstring at a time. This also helps keep the spine neutral, and it's a wonderful way to relieve any tension from your low back, improve flexibility without putting too much weight or pressure onto the body. And it also encourages mindfulness through breath and body connection. As before, maybe adding some gentle movement side to side, back and forth. You want to stay in each pose for about 5 breaths. Let's move on to our second pose. Forward fold, Uttanasana. I suggest you use a strap, but you can also grab around your feet or your ankles. Another option is to place a block between your ankles. That way you keep your feet hip distance. Especially if you have tight hamstring, this would be the more appropriate option. And then you want to literally manually pull your bum cheeks, those cushions, out of the way so that you can bend from the hips a little more as opposed to rounding the spine. Whether you're using your strap or your hands, take a full breath in, lengthening for the spine, and then use your hands or that strap to pull yourself forward as you exhale. Maybe do a bit of a flow with your breath, so inhale easing out of the stretch, exhale leaning in towards your feet, just to get the hamstring used to the movement, and then you can lean and hold that pose for a few breaths. I would like you to tilt the tailbone away from your feet. Try and keep your spine nice and long, so not necessarily rounding your back. It's more that you want to pull your chest towards your feet. Another suggestion here is to keep your legs straight and not fold as much forward to avoid bending your knees. That way we're not putting any pressure on your tendons and your ligaments as you fold over, and you're really targeting the hamstring muscles. Enjoying 5 breaths here as you calm your nervous system and relieve stress. We're also improving spinal alignment and flexibility. And next pose is seated head to knee, extending your left leg out, bringing the sole of your right foot to the inner thigh. Taking a full breath in, either wrapping your hands around your foot or the strap. You can also use a block to support your right knee if you're feeling any tension in that area. Then using your exhale to lean over the extended leg. Similar to our previous pose, the focus is on lengthening and stretching. Aim to keep your spine long as well as that left extended leg as you fold over. Bringing the chest towards your foot rather than rounding your spine and dropping your head towards the knee. You can also try and drop the head just to notice how different that feels and how it switches off the back muscles. Let's take another full breath in. Full breath out. Ideally enjoying this pose for about 5 breaths before switching to the opposite side. Placing your left foot to the inner thigh of your right leg. Using a strap or your hands, taking a full breath in. Exhale, folding over that extended leg. You can keep that flow with your breath for a few rounds, and then finding a moment of stillness as you exhale, lean forward and hold there for a few breaths. We are not only stretching the hamstrings here, but also releasing tension from the low back, Similar to the forward fold, also very calming for the nervous system and for the mind. And we also stimulate the liver and the kidneys as well as the digestion through the compression on the abdomen. Taking 5 breaths here before changing to another hamstring focused pose. Our fourth yoga pose is downward facing dog. I'll have you started in a child's pose just to make sure we have the alignment right. So pressing your tailbone towards your heels, extending your arms at full length. And then for that longer tabletop, you lift, tucking your toes under and press your way into your downward facing dog. You want to make sure you're tilting the tailbone up towards the sky and away from your body. Keep a slight bend in the knees so that way you can elongate the spine. So we don't want rounding of the spine, we don't want to be in a plank pose. You want to create sort of an upside down V shape. Keeping the knees bent, especially your hamstrings are tight. If you try and lengthen your knees, it will create roundness in your low back. Creating softness in the knees will allow the spine to lengthen. And that's exactly what we're aiming for here. Gently lengthen and open the hamstrings as well as the back without putting too much strain. Gentle reminder that sometimes less is more. This pose also helps you build shoulder and upper body strength, improves posture, and genuinely energizes the whole body and calms the mind, since we are basically upside down, meaning that your head is below your heart. 5 breaths here. Transitioning into standing poses in a fifth pose that is a standing forward fold, one of the most direct and probably most common hamstring stretches. As you take a full breath in, with exhale fold over your legs, aim to create a little bit of length along the spine and bend from the hips down. Keep your knees slightly bent if you need to. Notice where your tailbone is pointed. It's most likely down towards your mat. So I would like you to tilt it up towards the sky, towards the ceiling, to keep creating that length. Wrapping your arms around your thighs, your calves, gently fold your body over and hug yourself closer towards your legs. Remember that tailbone tilt up to the sky so it creates that length along your back as well. That way you potentially may feel a whole pull, a nice lengthening sensation along the entire back side of your body, basically from heels to the hips and from hips towards the crown of your head. 5 breaths in here. You can gently sway from toes to heels, using a block for a 6th pose, which is a forward fold with an open twist. Bending your knees, hinging at your hips, making your way to a forward fold. Place your left hand on the floor or your block, or even the shin of your right foot. If using a block, make sure it's in front of both feet in whichever position works for your body. Bending your left knee deeply and extending your right leg. As you take a breath in, reaching your right arm up, straight towards the sky, opening through your chest and your shoulder as you do so. As you exhale, twist a little more deeply, keeping your collarbones nice and long and open. The spine is more extended and rounded, so notice if you can flatten down through the ribcage and even send your right hip backwards. Stay here for 5 breaths and then lower your right arm down to switch sides. As you inhale, opening your left arm up to the sky, right knee is nice and bent, left leg is extended, really lengthening through your shoulders, through your arms, gently guiding the left hip backward, and then lowering your rib cage down towards the ground. Feel the stretch not only in your hamstring but also along the side of your body as well as the spine. This pose is wonderful to enhance spinal mobility, but also to help cleanse and detoxify the body, improve digestion and circulation. Let's enjoy 5 breaths on this side. Our 7th yoga pose is a wide-legged forward fold. Separate your feet as wide as you would like them, definitely wider than your hips. Toes slightly turned in, heels slightly out. Take an inhale, lift through your chest. As you exhale, fold forward from the hips, keeping your back as flat as you can. bringing hands to the floor or to your block. Gently lean towards your toes. Notice how your hamstrings react as you do so. Feel the stretch deep in your inner thighs and your hamstrings. Don't forget to deepen your breath to help your body ease into this pose. Keeping slight anterior tilt of the pelvis as we do in most of our forward folding poses. Enjoying 5 breaths here as you're targeting the hamstrings and the groins, strengthening the hips and the spine, and we're also decompressing the low back. Our balance is also challenged here, so it's a wonderful pose to improve balance and stability. Moving on to a pyramid pose, stepping your right foot back about 3 to 4 feet. Make sure your hips are nicely aligned, keeping a block nearby. This can be especially challenging for the hip alignment, so keep both hips in one line, basically keeping them square as you fold over your left extended leg. You can keep a gentle bend in the knee, but try and aim for lengthening, just like previous forward folds, whether that's length along the spine or the extended leg. If your hamstrings are very tight, you can turn this into a flow, so with inhale you can lift and ease out of the stretch, rising a little bit higher, using your exhale to fold over deeper, closer towards that extended leg. Keep your spine long, feeling that wonderful deep stretch in the front hamstring. Don't let yourself collapse. Make sure you're lifting through your belly, and don't forget to breathe your way through any discomfort. After 5 breaths, let's switch to the opposite side. Make sure your hips are in check as you fold over your left extended leg. This is a very focused and intense stretch on the front hamstring, while we're also maintaining the alignment of the hips, and it comes with a bit of a balancing challenge. So imagine you squeezing your thighs towards each other. That can help stabilize a little bit, as this pose invites you to deeply concentrate on your balance, on your breath as we strengthen the legs, stretch the spine, hips, and the shoulders. Moving on to our pose number 9, which is a triangle pose, another tricky one. Starting off standing with the feet slightly wider than your hips, right foot turns out, left slightly in, reaching arms wide and hinging at the hips as you bring your right hand towards the shin, your block, or the floor. What's important here, it's not really how low you got, but that your spine and your whole body is in one line. Imagine if there is a wall behind you, you will be connected to the wall with your entire backside of your body. Keep guiding your left hip back and dropping through the ribcage for your diaphragm towards the ground. Taking 5 breaths here, then switching to the opposite side. Keep your hips nice and open as you fold over the left extended leg. Remember, you want to keep the whole body in one line as you're lowering through the diaphragm, guiding the right hip back. This pose wonderfully opens up the chest and the shoulders, strengthening the legs, the core, but also your ankles, and it also helps reduce lower back pain. 5 breaths in here. Our 10th and final yoga pose for those hamstrings, it's a standing split. Starting from a forward fold, shift your body weight over to the left foot. Lift your right leg up towards the sky. For your hands, they can stay on your mat. Grab your standing leg or use your block for support. The goal here is to keep the hips in alignment, so don't let your right hip open up to the sky. Keep it pointed down to the ground, focusing on kicking your foot up and away. This pose can be quite challenging, so don't worry too much about how high you lifted your leg. After 5 breaths, switching your legs. As you switch, pay attention to how deep the stretch feels on the hamstring of your standing leg and how it challenges not only your balance but your flexibility. This pose is wonderful in building strength and mention balance. For the standing leg, it also increases range of motion for your hips and your hamstrings. And genuinely due to the balance aspect of the pose, it helps increase coordination and mental focus. Enjoying 5 breaths in here. And that's a wrap for our 10 best yoga poses for tight hamstrings. I hope you can feel the spaciousness we created not only along our legs but also our mind. Make sure to thank yourself for showing up. Thank your hamstrings for all the hard work, and I thank you also for being here with me. Make sure to subscribe, check out my other online yoga classes, and I'll see you again soon. Mahalo and namaste.